What's going on, guys? My name is Doe and I hope you're doing pretty good. And in this video I want to discuss a Pike build I've been enjoying a lot and it's been really fun to play. It's also a different build than normal. It's got some cells I normally don't use on most weapons in Escalation, which is fun for me, but there are some disclaimers for this build. The first one is it does not have iceborne. Now I will be leaving a build with iceborne and the Pike in the description for all you you know who you are. No, I'm just kidding. I like iceborne too. But in this build, I don't use it just because it's a change of pace. So that's like the first thing to get out of the way. The other thing is it's important you get Power Boost 3 in Umbral Escalation as fast as you can. Obviously, it won't be that hard to get, but it also will take a little bit of grinding. But once you get that, this build is very comfortable to play, in all honesty, at least for me. And the other thing is you want to have your other Escalation Lantern capacitors be as high as they can be. So hopefully, like preferably max, because all it does is give you more power for your weapon and more power for and more defense as well. It increases your damage and your defense to some degree, which is helpful. It helps you stay alive. And I'm saying all this because in this escalation, Umbral Escalation, once you get Power Boost 3, you have your gear pretty high, you have your lantern capacitors pretty high, pretty near maxed. You don't really get hit that hard, which is enjoyable because it means I don't have to use iceborne all the time. Like, I was finding myself surviving a lot more often in Umbral Escalation than in any other escalation while using the Pike. So, it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was nice not having to use iceborne all the time and being able to play a build that does a lot more damage and be like, you know, a pseudo 80 carry, if you will. And that was enjoyable. Like that's like the whole point of this build. And to get into the build, because I don't want to waste any else time, the build I'm using, I have the Pyroclastic Envoy Warpike. This is a Trogadero Warpike. For the special, I'm using the concussive payload, and this is just a missile. You convert energy into a missile. A pro tip for that I like bringing up is you don't have to have max meter to boop behemoths, right? There's a difference between booping and triggering a damage threshold. For just regular interrupts, all you need is as much meter as you require to store, and then that can interrupt behemoths. Just as a small little tip. For the modifier, I have Executioner Spearhead. It's the best Warpike's freaking modifier in the game, hands down. And this is where each time a behemoth is wounded, you gain 6% damage and it stacks up to 10. For the bond, I've got Inferno's Arrow, plus Reover Power from the Hellion Warpike, and also the unique effect from that weapon as well, which is very freaking strong. So, there is a reason why I'm not using Reza weapons, if you guys are wondering. It's like, why is he not using like a freaking Radiant weapon? They aren't that great. They're not bad. Well, Valmyr's pretty bad, but Reza isn't terrible. But Trogadero / Hellion will outweigh it most of the time. There are some very rare occasions where Reza weapons will outperform Hellion in Umbral Escalation, but it's very far and few in between because you need so much damage to make use of Cunning in Umbral Escalation, at least right now. So, yeah. But, anywho, for the armor, I have the Dark Watch helmet with Rage as a stat, power slot, Quill Shot jacket, Savagery, and a technique slot, Trogadero gloves, Overpower, and a power slot, and then Stride of Thorns feet with Predator and a utility slot. And of course, the Drass Lantern, it's my favorite, at least for these kind of builds. For the consumables, I'm using Insight Tonic to make myself wound faster, Frenzy for more damage, and Blitz for more attack speed. You do not need to use tonics if you don't want to. Although, if you don't want to use tonics, I'll do another build that uses conduit instead of. Actually, you can just change catalyst for conduit. By the way, the build has catalyst. I should have mentioned that earlier, but it's not a huge deal. It has catalyst, new cell. It's fun. I like it, but it does require tonics to use, and tonics are not cheap. So be aware of your resources because it's going to be expensive. But there are some things you can do to make it less expensive in Escalation. Anywho, for Catalyst, if you guys don't know, it makes your potions up to 60% more effective and also having up to 60% more increased duration, or a longer duration, I guess. It's freaking strong. It's very strong. It is the strongest utility cell in the game, hands down. Very good stuff. I also have +6 overpower, Predator, Rage, Savagery. Those are all damage cells. Savagery is one that I don't use very often, but I actually like a lot. That is more damage versus wounded parts. Up to 100% more damage. Brother, that is insane. Like, back in the freaking bayou, I need 10 calculators to count that high. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. So, it's kind of nuts. And I also have plus reconditioning just for quality of life. It's nice having conditioning on the Warpike. You don't need it, but it's just so luxurious to have. It feels great. So I use it because why not? I don't use it all the time, but in escalation, I like it. And it also helps with damage as well because you want to have stamina to attack. And if you have too much attack speed, you run out of stamina faster on Warpike doing your pokey, stabby attacks with the 200 shake weight. So understand that. And for the last cell, I have plus 3 discipline. That's to make rage better and to also get more effectiveness out of blitz tonics. Those. So that is the build. And as far as catalyst to cell goes, if you want to make it more effective, which I'll probably give this tip more often than in just this video, you don't have to pop potions round 1. I do it because why not? It's whatever. But if you want to save potions, you don't have to pop potions round 1. It's not a big deal. And you also don't have to pop potions on Thrax, although I do because I'm trying to kill it as fast as possible. It's also going to be difficult when you're not maxed out, by the way. But you can save potions in that manner. Now, will I do that? Probably not. I'll probably use potions pretty often just because potions let you deal the most damage possible. And that's like the whole purpose that I play. Like, that's why I play this game, is just to see how crazy things can get. So that is all of those shenanigans aside, all that stuff explained. Hopefully that makes sense. And as far as the amps go, which I should mention too, it is suggested that you get the surgical precision amp, or precision. I call it surgical precision because it sounds kind of funny, but that's a pretty good amp. That's basically it's basically your executioner spearhead with an extra step. So create a wound and then break it to get 2% extra damage. This is a much better amp if your teammates have it, because if your teammates have it and you also have it at the same time, if you wound apart and break it, then that effect increases by an extra 2%, and it goes up by 2% for every other person that has it as well. So breaking one wound can give you up to 8% extra damage if all your teammates have it at the same time. It's crazy. And on the Warpike, it's great. On other weapons, it's not really that amazing. I guess if you had 3 Warpike players and you're playing Axe, it would be okay. Or like two Warpike players and 2 Axes, it'd be okay, because they'd be making enough wounds to make up for it. And that's still a really good damage amp, right? It outweighs a lot of other damage amps. I think the next closest one in terms of damage is the Hunt, and then after that it's pretty not like crazy. You have a something executioner, right? The one that gives you like 25% damage versus behemoths that are half health or whatever, or enraged. No, it's half health. And then you also have elemental form that gives you 15% more damage for your hold the cast. So long story short, the damage is still good compared to your other choices sometimes. But that is the build. That's the video. Hopefully this all makes sense. If it did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more content. If you want to, use my Epic Games support card code in the Epic Games store and in the in-game Dauntless store. And you can subscribe to me on Twitch, my in-game Dauntless Flare, if you want to. But other than that, man, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.